Manchester City then get the win, beat Liverpool for the first time at Anfield in a very long time by 2-1, and what that means? 6 points. Still the difference at the top of the table. Right, for more, let's welcome in, shall we? Frank Leboeuf. We'll go to Frank in a moment.
Now, there's not often this man comes in with a still in his phone.
Yes, that was for Salah, should it have been a red card. But I don't want to talk about incidents overall. In general, how would you sum up this game?
I thought Liverpool were excellent in the second half, for the most part. I think the Bernardo Silva goal, you saw the issues with playing a midfielder at right back because he's not got the instincts to step out and he plays him on side. But that apart, I thought they played some great stuff. I think we talked about City second half performances on Friday. Mm-hmm. We talked, they hadn't scored a goal in the second half of a match this calendar year up until today. They just seemed to switch off and they couldn't handle Liverpool. But once again, they couldn't keep a clean sheet. City bossed the first half without creating. They created that chance for Haaland early on, but that was it. Yeah. And once again, they showed their frailties, but somehow managed to grind out 3 points, which keeps it alive, I suppose, in some sense, but not really the way they're playing. They're not going to convince anybody that they can put a title charge on the way they're playing, but numerically, I suppose they're still in it. But Liverpool must be kicking themselves because they had this game, they were in total control, and then they were not.
It was just just didn't take those chances. Florian Wirtz obviously had a good opportunity after the Ekitike back heel. We mentioned, of course, the Ekitike header that went wide. Liverpool better in the second half, but you've got to get it done.
Yeah, to be honest, I'd like to start in the first half.
Sure.
I've never seen a Liverpool side as negative and sitting on the edge of the box at Anfield against anybody. I mean, that's what they did. They took no part in the game. So it could only get better. And the fact that it was kicking into the Kop, then we saw what they're capable of. But then again, listen, it's bad enough, the Mo Salah thing. Should have been a red card, in my opinion. But I think what made me the angriest of all was the way, after they scored, after Szoboszlai scores, they've got the momentum, they've got City by the throat, they go and sit on top of the box again. They completely just stood off.
Is that Slot's doing?
The first half, 100%, is Slot's doing. I think the fact that Liverpool have lost so many goals this season, the way they have, players automatically take a step back. But then that's when the manager, I guess, has to step in and say, get yourself up. But that was the biggest thing that annoyed me, though. You go ahead, the game's there for you, and you take a step back and you sit in the top of your box, and then it falls apart.
Is that fair, Frank?
It is fair. And I don't get it. I mean, really, that was a big surprise because Craig alluded it. We know that Manchester City doesn't do much things in second half, and it's been that for a long time. And when Szoboszlai scored, I said, okay, game over, because we didn't see much from City. And Liverpool got it away and didn't do what they had to do. But we have to talk also about the two centre-backs, and the way they work together. I mean, on the first goal, of course, on Silva, where I don't know who's going out and don't work together or don't work. They don't talk to each other. I don't know how they work. It's like they don't know each other anymore, Van Dijk and Konate. And on the second goal, of course, it's another thing. But really, I'm concerned about Liverpool. I'm concerned about the fact that the players that they were there last year are not getting back to even 20% of what they've been. And that's annoying and worrying for me. Only Szoboszlai today, again, and Ekitike at some point, we're good. But the others, I'm very concerned. And for City, that was magical, really, coming from nowhere, those two goals, coming from nowhere.
Let's talk about the incidents. If you wouldn't mind, can we start with the last incident? Because that's what everyone was talking about, which I thought was quite interesting. Because by the letter of the law, they did everything right.
When I was watching it, I said, he's got to pull that back for the red card on Szoboszlai and give a free kick. Because you can't foul somebody that's potentially going to clear the ball. And the other point is, for those that say, this is the spirit of the game and the VAR and whatnot. You can't just give a goal, because at that point, the game was 2-1. And even if there was 15 or 20 seconds left, which there was, Had Ryan Cherky, who blasted the ball over the bar with a free kick, had he turned round with a free kick and tried to play Saham Smart back the way and given it away, within 5 or 10 seconds, Liverpool could have scored an equaliser. So you can't just go, oh, I'll allow the goal because that's the spirit of the game, when the game technically was still in the balance. So they were absolutely spot on, and I just don't understand the killing of the game. And they're blaming VAR for this, most people.
Pep and Slot both said the goal should have stood. Just let it go.
I initially did, but his nibs here just convinced me.
Oh.
Because he's right. The bit I didn't think about that he said,
The game's still 2-1.
if there's 10 seconds left,
You can score a goal.
you can still score a goal.
Right.
I was absolutely 100% going to come out with the spirit of the game. You know, referees, they're too busy refereeing from a book. You know, the best thing to do would have been just to leave the goal because the game was over. And then that little line,
Well,
he
think
said,
about
when there's
it.
10 seconds left, you can score a goal. So, I'm sorry, I'm with you now.
Stevie, they were looking at what to do, Cherky. They were going to play the ball in the corner, try and keep it. Then he blasted it over the bar. The referee did not blow at that point.
Yeah.
He allowed Alisson to take the goal kick and launch it up the field. City cleared it, and only at that point did he blow. Had he lumped it up the field, Alisson, had been flicked on and somebody had rocketed it in the back of the net. The game's 2-2. So you cannot just turn up and say, listen, there was a foul there, and then there was another foul, so 2 wrongs. I don't make let the goal stand. No, you can't, because clearly Haaland fouled Szoboszlai, so they have to go back. This is ludicrous just to say, particularly when the game is still not over, let's spirit of the game. Just, there's 2 fouls, 1 for each. Let the goal go in.
Frank, you're romantic. Would you not like to have seen this goal stand?
No, not at all. There are rules in football, and it's not because a foul follows another foul that it cancels the first foul. That doesn't make any sense. You have to be. We're not playing football in the street. Down the street, there are rules, and you have to accept that. And there was a clear mistake from Szoboszlai because he couldn't carry on with the pace of Alan, and therefore. It's only fair that the goal is cancelled, that there is a red card, and there is a free kick. I'm 100% with the guys, and well done the refs. You know, that's what he had to be, and it was well said.
He would have ignored the Szoboszlai pull had nothing else going on.
Yeah, absolutely.
He would just have ignored it, and it'd have been like,
Yes,
that's
but because the Haaland pull, then
it's not changed. It's not had a material impact in the game had the second offence not taken place. And again, the crux of the matter is the game was not dead at that point. Yeah. Technically, with 15.
Listen, you're 100% right, but I think all of those things that we're talking about that people have said was straight after the game, and I can assure you, I had to do digital. I was angry.
Oh.
And I had all kinds of stuff going through my head.
Common theme.
And that's when I came out with they should just have.
Oh.
They should have cancelled each foul out, blah, blah, blah.
Do you want to go back and do it again?
But now that the dust is settled...
post-match press conference, you're angry.
It is. So you've got
to edit that bit
you
on
see
YouTube.
You see things straight after the game.
Right.
That had you been given half an hour or an hour to calm down and then think about it rationally, then you would see a different thing.
Well, Slot said in his press conference afterwards, look, if you're going to send Szoboszlai off for the red card for denying a goal-scoring opportunity, then Gay should have been sent off as well for doing the same on Salah earlier in the game. Where do you stand on this, Stevie? Is this a red card?
I don't understand how it's not given a red card. That reads a goal-scoring opportunity. So it has to be a red. There's not one argument you can give me that will tell me to change my mind.
Frank?
I totally agree with Stevie, but I think what the referee just saw is that Diaz maybe had an opportunity to disturb Salah. I think the only reason why they didn't put the red card on Gay, because that was a fair one, deserved one, and there was nothing to complain about. And I agree with you. I don't think Diaz could have interfered. It was too late. He was too far away, maybe. But I think the referee in the booth, they thought that he was capable of going there and again disturb Salah to and avoid the goal.
So don't blame the referee, Craig Pawson here. He's got 100 things to think.
Stevie was blaming him when he called me up, I promise you.
Aye, absolutely, yeah.
No, but you got to look at the VAR to help him out.
But he's the referee. He's in charge, right?
Right.
He should be going and looking at that himself. He's the guy who makes the decision.
but
He should be the one who makes the final decision.
Yes, but that's not up to him to go and look at it. He's waiting for the instruction to go and look at it from the VAR. And I know what they'll say, and I agree with you. The more you look at it, it's 100% likely that Mo Salah is going to get a strike away. What they'll try and say is the angle was such that it wasn't a clear goal scoring, and they'll come up with something like that.
They'll make a story.
But I do think, on reflection, it looks like that should have been a red. But that's where the VAR, and that's the same thing with the Doku, the Dalot challenge in Doku the other week. Slightly different scenario, but the referee should have been allowed to go and check that at the monitor. Craig Pawson should have been allowed to have 30 seconds to go and make his own decision whether he thought Diaz was going to get across and get there first. But he wasn't allowed to do that. So effectively, too often we're having the game refereed from the VAR booth back in London rather than the official who's thinking about a free kick, who's thinking, was it in or outside the box? Where did the pull stop? He's looking at all that. He's not looking. Don't forget when he's refereeing the game here. He's got his eyes on that so intensely, he's not looking at Diaz. So he's not seen Diaz. Really, he's not, because he's looking at a shirt pull, he's looking at the line. He needs the guy in London to say to him, go and have a look at this and make an informed decision.
Is the Salah one worth a discussion from the first half?
I agree.
If it's given, you don't have a problem with it.
It's certainly something you're not just turning a blind eye to and going, oh, that's ridiculous, that's a dive.
So the easiest way to do it, if you put your hands on somebody, right, you're asking the referee to make a decision.
Correct.
And that's what as a defender, the last thing you want to do is relying on the referee making the right decision for you.
Frank?
For me, it's hard to say because it's not clear. What we see on the video, on the view of the different angles, is not clear. But I'm with the guys. You know, you see Silva putting his hand on Salah. So, but I don't see whether he just put his hand or he pulled the shirt. I don't see that. So it's too light. It's too uncertain for me to give the penalty. Maybe the referee saw better and saw exactly what we are all thinking, that it maybe wasn't enough, but I can't say it and I can't overtake that decision.
It's a shame in all of this, and there's been a lot to talk about, which is great. Not if you're a Liverpool fan, because the fight for them for the Champions League next year is real.
Yes.
I mean, okay,
most definitely. Do you mind? I'm going to interrupt you because I want to get the sound from the managers and then I want to talk about what this means big picture.
Sure.
Here is Pep Guardiola and Arne Slot just talking about the game in general.
It's so difficult. So Anfield is Anfield. The tradition, the history, the crowd. Always you looks like here, so it looks smaller, it looks tighter, the pitch always looks not the size like, for example, Etihad Stadium or another, and the players that they have and everything.
The improvement we've made since 3 or 4 months ago was, I think, visible for everyone. So the second half, our standards went up, and standards in terms of intensity. We were pressing them all over the place, and that is the biggest improvement we've made in the last 3 or 4 months. That players, the whole team is now able, at the highest level against a team that's probably one of the best teams, maybe their best team, or one of the best teams in England, in ball possession. To do so well off the ball is a big improvement, and fantastic second half. Was expecting more than being 1-0 up, but we weren't, and then 2 goals conceded.
What are you pulling a face at?
Well, because he's pulling a face at the custard pie on my face. You gave me the big.
I think he's been a little over generous, by the way. Let's be quite honest here. He's talking about the improvement in the last 3 months. They're sitting in 6th position, by the way. They're going that way. They're not going that way. How can you improve if you're going that way, down the table? I mean, the first 45 minutes was terrible. Let's be clear. At home, at Anfield, in a big game, and you go and sit in the top of your box, and that's down to you, the manager. And to just forget about that, I'm sorry. And then to forget about the last 15 minutes as well,
right.
Because at the end of the day, Alisson has brought this all on Liverpool in terms of the second goal. So Yeah, I think he's been a little over positive and trying to forget the last 15 and let's forget the first 45. But for 30 minutes we were great.
Well, you're looking at a City side that were bossed by Tottenham in the second half, who were in a similar scenario as Liverpool, not as bad, but had played poorly, very poorly. And then, as Stevie said earlier, it can only really get better. And we know how poor City have been. Listen, most teams have given City a game in the second half, particularly in the last couple of months. We talked about that on Friday's show. Even Wolves at the Etihad, when City were 2-0 up. Liverpool's fight for the Champions League might be saved by the 5th spot. It might be, because that's where they are. United are above them now. Chelsea have been getting wins under the new manager. And they had 35 minutes of really good football, but still lost the game. So, and when he talked about the issue, I think he was getting caught up a little bit with the language, but when he called City the best team, then he corrected himself because they're far from the City of old. Had that been the City of old, which I know it's not, it's hypothetical, but had that been City at the pomp, that Liverpool team today would have been absolutely taken apart.
It'd have been over at half-time, wouldn't it?
Because City are not killing teams off in the first half of games when they're bossing it. And that's what's been coming back to bite them on the backside. Today it didn't, but I don't think, if we're being honest, it's going to have it shouldn't have a huge effect on the Premier League title race.
Yet again, Stevie, we see Liverpool conceding late on.
Yep.
In the history of the Premier League, no team has conceded more than Liverpool have already this season. I think they're equal to another side. How do you explain this?
It's pretty straightforward. You got a back four that changes every single time almost they step on the field, and they are completely and utterly unsure of what each other are going to do and where the starting positions are. I mean that's it in a nutshell. You keep making changes, then you won't get any consistency. And then on top of that, you can't include Szoboszlai. He's playing out of possession. He's got no choice. But the other three, there's no excuse for the way they're playing. They're just playing badly.
Frank, how do you explain this? Is there an explanation?
No, there isn't, especially because you have two teams who are showing exactly what we have known about them, that Liverpool defensively are very weak this season, where they were so strong, especially with the two centre-backs last season. And you have normally Manchester City drowning the second half, but being capable of troubling Liverpool, and we see nothing from there. And it's when you play 30 minutes at Anfield against Manchester City on such an important game, you don't deserve to win. So you can try to find any excuses, thinking that it's better. Yeah, I think they were a little bit better, and I agree with Stevie. It doesn't make any sense because they are losing points. But I think they were in the game more consistent, I would say. But today they showed that it's not enough. First, and they still have to improve. Maybe they were tired. Maybe they lost their concentration. But how can you lose against Manchester City, who normally doesn't know what to do in the second half, and you concede 2 goals? You could have even conceded 3. It's not enough, and it's not the Liverpool we know and we have recognized.
The best piece, it's a shame this, because the best piece of skill we probably have seen anywhere in Europe this whole weekend, if not season, is in the trash can. Nobody's talking about it. It's the Szoboszlai free kick. Yep. Discussions around everything else. Yep. And that was...
He might be king of the pitch on Monday.
We'll be talking about a Monday. That was, it has to be said, in defeat, with all the controversy, with the non-calls on the red cards and all the nonsense with the Haaland and this was at the end. That was, bearing in mind, there's always been an argument when somebody's as far out as that, you don't need a wall. And they had a wall, but it was a 2-man wall, so it was a token gesture. And you have, along with Courtois, debatably the best keeper in the world. And he has been brilliant, as Stevie mentioned, for City. And he just looked at that thing. It was it was a thing of pure magic.
When it happened, you're like... I need to see that. What happened there?
Eleanor, rewind it.
It was like, what happened?
Get still.
I mean, what happened?
Get still at the ball hitting the net.
You know, as soon as he hits it, and then you've got Donnarumma who's just standing there, and then it goes in off the post, and you're like, oh. How did that happen?
I think I saw Gravenberg. I think he just was like that.
Yeah, even his teammates were amazed.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. But anyway, I know it's not the talking point.
And can we
but it was brilliant.
put that also, because the skill is absolutely fantastic, and I of course don't want to put that down in terms of level. What we saw with Szoboszlai, and we saw that also against Arsenal. But because of the football and the texture of the football nowadays, we see that, and we've been seeing that with Ronaldo, with so many others, in the past decade or 2 decades. But before, when we were playing, we have never seen a free kick like that. It couldn't existed. The ball will have flown above the net. It will have never stay in the right position. So that's also the football and the texture of the football, which allows the players to do that now.
Yeah, we'd have been doing that every week.
There you are. Roberto Carlos didn't Roberto Carlos do it to your boys, Frank?
penny.
That was an old ball.
That was an exception, and I was there. That was exceptional, but that was really, the guy was really an exception.
Right, okay.